In the scramble to make milk safe, we outlawed something older, and maybe better. For centuries, mountain families and herders thrived on a goat milk tradition that was easier to digest than cow milk for many people, and sometimes even safer than drinking it raw. Today, those same methods will get you fined or shut down, lost to most kitchens by blanket regulations. So how did a food once relied on for survival become forbidden, and what exactly did we give up when we buried it? Goat milk stands apart from cow milk in the way its fat is structured and processed by the human body. Under a microscope, the key difference is clear. Goat milk fat globules measure just 2 to 3 micrometers in diameter, noticeably smaller than the 3 to 4 micrometers typical of cow milk. This seemingly minor detail makes a real difference at the kitchen table and inside the digestive tract. Smaller globules blend more easily with water, so goat milk naturally stays smoother and is less likely to separate. For the body, this means less effort is needed to break down and absorb the fat. But it is not just about size. Goat milk contains a higher proportion of medium-chain fatty acids, about 30% of its total fat, compared to roughly 15% in cow milk. These medium-chain fats are a shortcut for energy. Unlike longer-chain fats, they do not require pancreatic lipase for digestion. Instead, they move quickly from the intestine straight into the portal vein, heading directly to the liver. For people with mild digestive issues or reduced pancreatic function, this pathway can make goat milk much more comfortable to tolerate. Agricultural research points to these structural and metabolic differences as key reasons why many people describe goat milk as gentler on their stomachs. The combination of smaller fat globules and easily absorbed medium-chain fatty acids offers a clear, measurable advantage in digestibility. This is just one part of the story, but it lays the groundwork for understanding why goat milk has been a staple for so many communities where cows were rare and digestive health was a matter of survival. Goat milk's protein structure sets it apart in ways that matter for digestion. The main casein protein in goat milk is the A2 type, which dominates over the A1 variant found in most conventional cow milk. This A2 beta-casein forms curds in the stomach that are noticeably softer and more fragile than those produced by A1 casein. Softer curds break down faster under the action of stomach acid and digestive enzymes, allowing proteins and nutrients to be absorbed more efficiently. Some studies suggest that A1 beta-casein, common in cow milk, may provoke inflammatory responses or digestive discomfort in sensitive individuals, while A2 casein is less likely to cause these issues. For people who describe discomfort or bloating after drinking cow milk, this difference in protein structure can be the deciding factor. Lactose content also plays a role. Goat milk contains about 4.1% lactose, slightly less than the 4.7% typically found in cow milk. The softer curds formed by goat milk further slow the release of lactose during digestion, which can make it easier for people with partial lactase deficiency to tolerate. However, it is important to recognize the limits. Those with true lactose intolerance or diagnosed milk protein allergies will still react to goat milk, since it contains both lactose and allergenic proteins. For the broader population with milder sensitivities, sometimes described as lactose malabsorption or casein sensitivity, goat milk's unique composition offers a practical, more comfortable alternative. Taken together, the predominance of A2 casein, the softer curd structure, and the modestly lower lactose content create a foundation for why so many families, especially in regions without cows, have relied on goat milk as their primary dairy source. These physiological details help explain the enduring reputation of goat milk as easier on the digestive system. When milk safety became a public concern, how did these differences factor into the regulatory debate? In the crowded cities of the late 1800s and the early 1900s, milk was both a staple and a silent threat. Children and families faced invisible dangers with every glass. Outbreaks of tuberculosis, typhoid, and brucellosis swept through neighborhoods, traced back to milk that had traveled for miles without refrigeration or proper hygiene. Doctors and public health officials recorded case after case of illness linked to contaminated dairy, often with deadly consequences. The list of culprits grew. Salmonella, Campylobacter, E. coli, Listeria, Brucella. These are bacteria that can survive even in cold storage, waiting for a chance to multiply. Public health records reveal a stark pattern. Despite only a small fraction of Americans drinking raw milk, about 96% were tied to unpasteurized products. Pasteurized milk, by comparison, accounted for only a tiny share of outbreaks. These numbers became the backbone of modern food safety policy. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention and the Food and Drug Administration still warn that raw milk carries a much higher risk of infection, especially for children, pregnant women, and anyone with a weakened immune system. Outbreaks linked to raw milk have not faded into history. Recent years have seen salmonella traced to unpasteurized goat cheese, clusters of Campylobacter illness, and even new concerns about viruses like H5N1. Regulators rely on this evidence when shaping the laws that govern how milk is sold and consumed. Federal law draws a clear line. Since 1987, the interstate sale of unpasteurized milk for human consumption has been prohibited in the United States under 21 CFR Section 1240.61. The regulation does not distinguish between types of milk or traditional handling. If it is unpasteurized, it is banned from crossing state lines for sale. States set their own rules, creating a patchwork of policies. In some states, raw milk can be sold directly from the farm or in retail stores. In others, every drop must be pasteurized regardless of the animal or the method used. Fermented goat milk, even when produced with care and tradition, is swept into the same category as fresh, untreated raw milk. The law rarely recognizes the difference between a bottle of raw goat milk and a jar of clabbered, acidified milk made using fermentation passed down for generations. Other countries take an even stricter approach. Australia and Canada both prohibit the sale of raw milk for human consumption nationwide, regardless of whether it is fresh or fermented. In those places, products labeled for cosmetic or bath use have also been targeted by enforcement. The effect is structural. Regulations designed to eliminate the highest risk leave no legal path for small producers or traditional households to sell fermented goat milk, even when the process itself may offer some protection compared to raw milk alone. The law draws no line between industrial-scale abuses and careful time-tested methods. For anyone hoping to bring traditional fermented goat milk to market, the answer is the same. They must install expensive pasteurization equipment or stop selling altogether. Fermentation transforms fresh goat milk through a series of measurable biochemical changes. When lactic acid bacteria begin to multiply, they convert lactose into lactic acid, steadily lowering the milk's pH from around 6.7 to a range between 3.5 and 4.5 within 1 to 2 days at room temperature. This acidification is not just a flavor shift, it creates an environment where many harmful bacteria struggle to survive. The process, often called backslopping, uses a portion of a previous fermented batch to inoculate fresh milk, helping maintain a stable population of beneficial microbes. As lactic acid bacteria dominate, they produce not only acid but also bacteriocins, natural antimicrobial compounds that further suppress unwanted pathogens. Laboratory studies show that these changes can reduce certain pathogen loads by factors of 100 to 10,000 compared to untreated milk. Still, fermentation is not a guarantee of safety. The risk depends on factors like the cleanliness of the milk, the temperature during fermentation, and the health of the microbial community. If conditions are right, fermentation offers an evidence-based, low-tech method that makes goat milk less risky than drinking it raw, but not as reliably safe as pasteurization. For families without access to refrigeration or modern equipment, this middle ground provided a practical, science-backed improvement over fresh, untreated milk. Regulations designed for industrial-scale dairies have brought steep costs for small goat milk producers. Compliance is not just a matter of paperwork. It often means investing $10,000 to $50,000 in pasteurization equipment, plus thousands of dollars more for stainless steel vats, cooling systems, and ongoing microbial testing. For many family farms, these expenses are insurmountable. The result is a steady disappearance of traditional fermented goat milk from local markets. In rural Greece, families who once sold clabbered milk from their own herds now face a legal wall. In parts of West Africa, spontaneous fermentation in wooden gourds is relegated to private kitchens, not village stalls. These are not isolated stories. Across continents, the requirement to pasteurize or meet industrial licensing standards has forced small producers to abandon products that once defined their region's food culture. Recipes handed down for generations, milk soured in clay pots, yogurt thickened in linen, kefir brewed with wild cultures, are now made quietly at home, if at all. The loss is measured not only in dollars, but in the fading of local knowledge and the narrowing of what is possible in the dairy aisle. For producers, the choice is stark. Invest in equipment that erases the very qualities that made their products unique, or stop selling altogether. Today, global dairy laws still erase nuance, treating ancient, low-tech safety methods as if they are as risky as untreated raw milk. As food sensitivities and supply chain risks grow, the debate over what is truly safe is not settled. Sometimes, progress means remembering what regulations forced us to forget. Share your thoughts below.